welcome everyone. Thanks for joining today's session. My name, as Mark suggested, is Jake Marcinko. I'm a senior manager of solution standards at the PCI Security Council. And with me today is?
I'm Bhavna Sondhi. I'm the Director of Technical Solutions. I handle the practice for P2P, PIN, 3DS, SSF, various non-PCI, but yes, I'm all of that.
So today we're going to talk about some of the evolving software development technologies and techniques, as well as some of the security considerations related to the adoption and use of these technologies. But before we get into that, how many of you here, I want to ask a question, how many of you here would consider yourself gamers? Okay. Now, how many of you have actually played Dungeons and Dragons? Okay, so does your basement look like this?
Yeah.
You think it's my basement. It isn't. It's her basement.
Yes, I have a family of board gamers. We have collected and played all of these games and more. And now my kids are also into it. Yeah, we love doing that.
So I wasn't, obviously there's some pretty cool games here, and I do recall there's video game versions of this. I was more into the video games growing up, as well as some of the choose your own adventure type of books. So how many of you here actually recall some of these books?
Some.
All right, we have some old timers in here. No, I'm kidding. I actually consider myself an old timer as well, because I've read all of these books as well as more in some of these series. I was also, and this was actually my first computer, the old Apple. I was heavily into these text-based adventure games. I remember as a child, my dad taking me to work with him when he didn't have a babysitter, and I would sit and play these adventure games that were run off a mainframe. So I was heavily involved in this, and unfortunately, I hate to admit it, but I still tend to play some of the more modern versions of these games, like Diablo, Fallout, and Overwatch, etc. So with that, let's advance here. So you can imagine how excited I was when I came across the source code for the text-based adventure game, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So and this is online, so anyone can access this. So it made me wonder, could we do a presentation in the style of the original role-player games? Well, we're about to find out. Bhavna and I have created a little game simulation to help us talk through some of the key security issues related to the use of emerging software development technologies. And so this is what we would envision a text-based adventure game about software development might look like.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Software Security Galaxy, a science fiction story. Copyright 1984 by Infocom Incorporated, all rights reserved.
Oh, pardon me.
Chapter 1, the beginning of the end. You wake up. The room is spinning very gently round your head. Or at least it would be if you could see it, which you can't. It is pitch black.
Did you folks remember this, where you had to interact with it and give it commands? What do you think we should do?
Try turning on the light.
All right, well, we'll turn on the light.
You manage to clumsily fumble for the light switch, and miraculously, you find it. Good start to the day. Pity it is going to be one of the worst days of your life. The light is now on. The light reveals your bedroom, which is a mess. It is a small bedroom with a faded carpet and old wallpaper. There is a desk, a chair, and a window with the curtains drawn. Slung over the chair is a tattered dressing gown. On the desk is a phone.
All right, we should probably get out of bed. You think?
I guess so.
We'll give that a try.
You stand up, still a bit woozy from the previous night's libations. As you put on the tattered gown, you notice a couple of analgesic pills in the left pocket. You quickly take them, while praising the small fortunes in life. A brief moment of peace is interrupted abruptly by the skull-shattering ring of the phone on your desk. You try to ignore it, but the sound is only exacerbating your already blistering hangover.
We should probably answer that.
I guess.
It's your boss, Zephyr Beagle Bronx. His voice crackles through the receiver, sounding extremely agitated. We need to have the software features fully integrated and tested prior to tomorrow's release. Can you handle that? He asks sternly. You muster up as much confidence as you can and respond, yes, I can handle it. I'll get started right away. But before you can finish your sentence, your boss hangs up the phone, abruptly ending the call. You put down the receiver, take a deep breath, and think to yourself, this is going to be an exceptionally long day. Then, it hits you. The answer to all your problems. The solution is so simple that you can't help but mutter the words. Bubble.
All right, so for you folks who don't know what Bubble is what's called a low-code software development tool. So Bhavna, do you want to talk a little bit about what no-code, low-code software development tools are?
Yeah, sure. So low-code, no-code platforms, and if you've come across them, these are just something that allows user to create applications without needing to write the code or even know how to code. With low-code, minimal knowledge of coding is needed, and they need to have a limited knowledge on software design, programming languages, but with no code, even non-developers can go ahead and create applications without needing any technical expertise. That means just zero coding is required, and it ends up having, organizations can build applications quickly and deliver to market. There are various benefits, of course, with it's just easier to use, there's drag and drop functionalities, and applications don't have to be built from scratch. The development is pretty fast. Users can integrate applications from within their existing processes, workflows, and as a result, just quicker delivery to market here as well, and clients. Costs are lower comparatively because you end up saving valuable time, resources, and development time is reduced a lot. The customer experience is enhanced without having so much time, and providing the ability to keep applications up to date as well. But of course, with no-code, low-code platforms, there's also security issues that should be taken into consideration. Some of these platforms, they often rely on third-party components and like APIs and libraries, and these components can introduce vulnerabilities into the applications if they are not vetted or maintained. As mitigation for this is simpler, making sure you vet the origin of the APIs and also maintain correct updated versions of it. Low-code, no-code can also make it easier for platform developers to create applications without having a deep understanding of secure coding, and can result into like commonly known OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities or like many more of those as well. Mitigation, training, and awareness, and making sure even these users that are handling this low-code, no-code platform are like they're undergoing training as well, and they should get these. They should know all of those issues. Low-code, no-code can be complex, and it's easy for users to also misconfigure them. Hence, training, guidance, all of these needs to be followed by those developers as well. There's additional issues related to authentication and secure communication failures. I mean, these are very well-known issues. It's not just related to low-code, no-code platforms. And some measures that should be put in place is making sure you're using appropriate TLS certificates, and also knowing the API best security practices. They should all be incorporated and followed. There's also lack of visibility and control into what is being developed and deployed that can pose major security problems as well. If it's not, those all have to be handled very carefully. That's why implementing security controls and also having some compliance and governance process in place should exist. I mean, we just wanted to go through some use cases quickly with you. There's a lot of information out there, but we went through some of the benefits. There's security issues that you should be considering, and making sure you have mitigation measures put in place as well, like training, vetting of those third-party components, and implementing security controls to provide the visibility as well. We'll go over to our next topic, and Jake, do you want to take that over?
Sure. So let's go back to the game to set up our second scenario.
Chapter 2, Shadows in Darkness. Having dealt with the latest crisis created by your boss, you can now continue working on your favorite project, the incredibly popular role-playing game titled 42 Adventures in the Infinite Improbability. After pushing a few updates to the production code, the technical support team has discovered several intermittent issues with the game's operation. There have been reports of random data glitches, missing information, and even a few system crashes in the payment functions for the Utter Mayhem gameplay feature and other expansion offerings. You suspect it may be an API conflict causing the issue, but you aren't quite sure.
So if it's a potential API conflict issue, we should probably do a discovery tool.
Yeah.
Good thinking. As suspected, it was an undocumented API endpoint that was causing the issues. You successfully removed the offending code and pushed the updated code back into production to the delight of all game players worldwide.
All right, so a common issue with cloud-based software is the proliferation of undocumented or unmaintained APIs. Bhavna, do you want to talk a little bit about what people should consider when exposing APIs to the internet?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, there's several benefits, but before going into the benefits, of course, a lot of people are probably already familiar with what Cloud API is. It's just a software interface that allows applications to interact with cloud-based services, be it a storage or a database solution or several others. We are going to talk a little bit more into the point of sale in the cloud interface use case here, because we are seeing a lot of implementations of POS in the cloud and migration from back-end systems to the cloud as well. Retail businesses, they are also being transformed by integrating AI and machine learning into the point of sale systems as well. Like example, AI-powered point of sale system can recommend products for customers, and machine learning models can also help analyze a lot of sales data and as such. And going into the benefits of it, data accuracy is enhanced. Cloud-based point of sale systems can also provide accurate reporting and analysis. The efficiency is improved. There's automation of various processes like order fulfillment, or reporting, and inventory management as well. Cloud-based point of sale systems are also scalable. That's maintenance, updates, installations. They can all be performed remotely without having to be there in person. So this is all happening nowadays. But of course, there is the security issues that we should be considering. We touched based previously on, in one of our scenarios, the vulnerability of undocumented API. It's basically a shadow API, which exists outside the official monitored channels. Another API vulnerability that, if you're familiar with or aware of, it's Zombie API, which was basically once approved by the organization, but it just resides in the systems still. With Shadow API, it's never officially approved. They, of course, can break regulatory compliance and against various frameworks that are out there. Shadow API can also unknowingly leak sensitive data. Zombie API can use deprecated libraries, so that can be used by attackers to exploit. So in all, mitigations should be placed like API discovery and inventory management, and enforcing the API governance is also important. APIs in the cloud, they also end up exposing more functionality to the internet than needed, and increases attack vectors altogether. If you're not familiar with it, or if you're already, and you should take a look at the OWASP top 10 API security risks. They have provided a lot of details and examples on the different attack vectors, what are the mitigations that you can put into place, and how to go about preventing all of these issues. Some examples are broken object level authorization, then there is broken authentication, and mitigations. Some of them are, again, common, that you already are probably doing it, having secure coding practices, multi-factor authentication, knowing all flaws related to authenticate to API. These can all be placed, and making sure you use the industry best practices to develop or utilize the code that is already being developed for authentication or token generation. For our cloud-based point-of-sale use case, there's significant consideration related to data protection and privacy requirements that is still needed. Some protection measures include implementing strong authentication controls, like open authentication, token-based authorization. I think we've seen these implementations a lot, API keys, all of these needs to be secured. There's use of input validation and sanitization methods as well that are some additional measures. Encryption, data protection, of course. These are something that even PCI DSS enforces a lot. Going into some of these key takeaways related to POS in the cloud is we just talked about benefits, some security issues, and also discussed some of the mitigation methods around it. But most important is making sure you're keeping yourself updated on API security. We all are here, so continuous education is the key. I would say that.
Right.
Do we want to go for the next?
So we have one more scenario we'll go back to the gameplay for.
Chapter 3, The Rise of AutoGuard. After participating in numerous security assessments with your assessor, Trillian, the two of you decide to put your coding skills to more productive use. You work together to develop a new software product called AutoGuard that will revolutionize the security assessment industry. A key feature of AutoGuard is its ability to analyze vast amounts of source data, cross-reference regulatory requirements, flag potential issues, and generate reports, all in a matter of seconds, tasks that would otherwise take an assessor days to complete manually. Despite acknowledging your software engineering masterpiece, Trillian conveys a concern about the reliability of such extensive automation. Can the results be trusted?
So we've been getting a lot of questions at PCI SSE about the use of automation and AI in security assessments. But before I talk about PCI SSE's position on the use of these technologies and software assessments, Bhavna, do you want to talk a little bit about why it's such a big deal, the use of these technologies from an assessor's perspective?
Yeah. Like before going, there are several benefits, of course, with automation and gathering evidence quickly as possible, and then also performing software assessments. Cost savings, which company wouldn't want that? I think almost everyone is talking about automation every time I hear about assessments or even gathering of evidence. There's time saving, the productivity is increased. It's not just about automating tasks, it's about achieving more. Having the ability to achieve more as well, and time to achieve more. It's scalable. You can plan on ensuring various compliance frameworks are taken into consideration, and organizations can also account for scope increase if that is the case. The GRC management is simplified as manual processes are all reduced with use of automation. And with use of automation, there's also multiple assessments that can be coordinated, not just PCI, it's SOC, HIPAA, HITRUST, or ISO, several other frameworks. You can take that into account. If it's a development company, engineering costs are reduced, and the evidence collection is all automated, and it can also shorten the compliance duration as a whole. There are several GRC tools out in the market. I think you've come across it, you're already working through it. But Coalfire also has developed one of the tools, which is called Compliance Essentials. And yes, we have been able to perform coordinated assessments against a variety of frameworks. So if you want to hear more about it, catch me later, and I'll talk to you more on that front. Jake, would you like to discuss issues and considerations about these automated assessments?
Sure. So first and foremost, PCI does permit the use of AI and automation for some functions within not only security assessment, but also operations. Things like vulnerability scanning, security testing, automated security controls. But PCI does not permit the use of AI for decision-making functions, things like pass-fail criteria, compensating controls analysis, et cetera. Now, we are working on guidance about the use of AI, and we expect to publish that guidance probably sometime in the first half of 2025. we're also considering how to support AI and automation in things like reporting, attestation, listing updates, et cetera. Now, I am doing a session later on this afternoon about the use of bill of materials or BOMs, and we'll talk a little bit about how we might be able to leverage these technologies in that context. So real quickly, there were 3 things we talked about today. I just want to summarize what the key security concerns are. We talked about the use of automation in various aspects of software development and security assessment. We encourage the use of automation where feasible, but know the risks associated with the use of these technologies, and stay up to date on security issues and best practices to mitigate them. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time today. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.